Welcome to the 2013 Interfaith Baccalaureate Service of the Claremont Colleges. The Baccalaureate service originated at Oxford University in 1432. Each bachelor was required to deliver a sermon in Latin that would expound on all they had learned as students. The Latin roots, baccalaureus, translated as laurelberry, refer to the wreaths of laurel branches the graduates wore on their heads during the ceremony. Today, there will be no long sermons and no laurel crowns. The focus of this gathering are the students' voices, each from his or her own experiences, texts, or beliefs. There is a proverb that is common to many traditions that teaches, "Involve me, and I'll understand." Our students chose to be involved. Today, we are blessed to hear their thoughts as they share what they now understand about exploring individual convictions, building community, developing peaceful dialogue across multiple faiths and cultures, and bringing hope, resources, and commitment to neighbors in need, both locally and globally. We are also honored to hear the musical voices of the Baccalaureate Choir of the Joint Music Program, directed by conductor Charles Kamm, and an address from our esteemed alum and Superior Court Judge, the Honorable Halim Danadina. On this day of joy, we also pause to acknowledge the tragic loss of several Claremont College students earlier this year: Ben Huppy, Jose Suarez, and Tamar Kaplan, and just this morning, Ali Mirza. Our hearts and prayers are with their friends, family, classmates, faculty, staff, and the entire Claremont College's community. We remember them and all those we hold precious in our memories as we share a moment of silence. On behalf of Father Joe Fenton, Reverend Brad Tharp, and myself, the chaplains of the Claremont Colleges welcome all who have gathered here, and we celebrate with gratitude that we have reached this sacred time and season. I am pleased to introduce the president of Scripps College, Lori Bettison Varga, current chair of the Council of Presidents of the Claremont Colleges, and generous host of our 2013 Interfaith Baccalaureate Service.
Good afternoon. So it's the official beginning. I've talked to many of my seniors, and we have rehearsal coming up this afternoon, so it's really starting to settle in for everybody, I know. We have many overlapping activities coming down the road. Many of us have our Board of Trustees here with us. It's a joyous occasion, and I want to, on behalf of Scripps and all of the colleges, welcome you to the Interfaith service today. This is an important service for the community. It's as I just said, the opening ceremony, and it brings together the graduates from all 7 of the Claremont colleges. Now, I know that you all know a lot of the facts about the consortium, that each of us has our own campus and faculty and a distinctive mission, that we share many central services, the Honnold Library, campus safety, health services, and student organizations. And we also share the marvelous office of the chaplains. And I would like to take just a minute for all of us to give them a round of applause for arranging this event today. Together, we have close to 7,000 students, and many of our undergraduates cross-register at one or more of the campuses. So for the students in the audience, let's just ask you, how many of you have taken a class at all of the colleges? Well, we got a few in here. Awesome. Okay, so you've taken advantage of the experience. Today, we will hear from our students representing diverse faith traditions and backgrounds who will offer personal reflections through spoken words and music. They will be followed by our distinguished speaker, Judge Halim Donadina. To the families and friends of our graduates who've encouraged and supported their work, thank you. All of us are grateful to you for that support, most especially your students. So let's give everybody a round of applause. To the graduates, today is a day for both reflection and anticipation. In reflecting, we recognize your contributions to our vibrant community and to the world beyond the colleges. Thank you for being exceptional students, researchers, travelers, friends, and colleagues in search of truth and knowledge. Each one of you has left your imprint here. Each college has been affected in some way by your presence. Thank you for all you have added to our mutual experience. We hope and expect you will remain close and return as often as possible in the years ahead. We also look forward to the opportunities that lie ahead for you as you begin the next chapter of your lives. You are well prepared, we know it, and we are confident you will leave these Claremont colleges with the seeds of success within you. We wish you lives of purpose and fulfillment. Thank you again and welcome.
4 years ago, I gave a speech at my high school graduation. We were a class of 167. I talked about the collective 4-year journey we had all had, the shared experiences and everything else that was part of going to that school. But now that I'm up here speaking at a ceremony for 7 colleges, I hope it's evident that this is not that speech. Compared to most of your majors, even if you're from Harvey Mudd too, engineering is a wild, exotic animal. And that's the majority of my college experience, getting ripped to shreds by problem sets and burning the midnight oil in windowless basement labs. So at first glance, maybe I'm not the most representative of everybody graduating in Claremont this weekend. But then again, maybe that's the point. Over the past 4 years, we've learned to walk our own roads. And after this weekend, we'll keep walking. There's a popular cliche that college is a time to find yourself. I've found a surprising amount of truth in that. We've come from high schools and hometowns full of people who have had a lot of similar formative experiences, into college where everyone brings a different story. And we've all had to find the inner strength to persevere in something we believe. It could be anything: political stances, life habits, the best way to do a homework problem. And it's probably not just one thing. I'm one of only a handful, I'm talking one handful, of Catholics graduating from Harvey Mudd on Sunday. It's been a pretty solitary faith journey, and not an easy one. But I'm stronger than ever in my belief in God, who created me and helped me become someone who can make it through Harvey Mudd in one piece. Randomness and luck don't do it for me. But whatever beliefs you've had to defend, you're going to keep living in a world with a lot of people who disagree. And when you interact with those people, rather than lamenting in your head about it, just remember this: those are people with a different set of experiences from yours. They get up every day and embrace who they are and the lives they lead, vindicated in their beliefs just as you are. And the more you make the effort to understand how they got there, you'll be that much better off in those interactions and happier with your own life. We can't control what people will remember about us, but at least we can give them some good choices. Thank you, and congratulations to the class of 2013.
Coming to college was the first time that I had to work for my Jewish community. Up until 4 years ago, my Jewish community was ubiquitous and assumed. I attended a Jewish day school until 8th grade, went to a Jewish summer camp, and went to synagogue every week. Every Friday night, my mom would cook a delicious meal for the Jewish Sabbath, and my only responsibility was to eat it. College is the first time for many of us where we have to define ourselves independent of our families and independent of what has been laid out for us. Helping strengthen and give back to the Jewish community at Claremont has been one of the most rewarding aspects of my college career. In a Jewish text called Pirkei Avot, there's a quote by Rabbi Tarfon that says, "It is not your responsibility to finish the work of perfecting the world, but you are not free to desist from it either." As people, we all have a responsibility to help better the world in some way. The responsibility does not fall solely on us. It falls on each of us, and therefore we are all weighted with the task of bettering the worlds that we live in. This begins first by strengthening our own community. As Hillel president, I helped foster a Jewish community through Friday night services and dinner and cultural and holiday events. My responsibilities changed from one as a passive member of my community to a driver of that community. I became a chef for Friday night dinner, not merely a consumer of the meal. But strengthening our own community is only the beginning. One of my chief goals as president of Hillel was to build relationships with other groups on campus. In the spring of last year, the Muslim Student Association and Hillel collaborated to bring in a comedy group called Stand Up for Peace, which consisted of a Palestinian and Jewish comedian. We had over 200 attendees, and it is an event that I'm most proud of. This past fall, we collaborated with the Queer Resource Center and brought a transgender Jew to speak after Shabbat services. I hope that by starting the work of reaching out to other organizations, those who follow me will continue it. I've also been a part of the Multi-Faith Service Council since its inception a few years ago. This has been an incredibly rewarding experience for all of the members involved. We recently put on a meal packaging event called Stop Hunger Now, where we packaged over 12,000 meals in a few short hours. Claremont's Jewish community and the religious community and chaplain's office here in general has left its mark on me. I know that I not only have a responsibility, but a desire to better whatever community I end up in. I hope that I have contributed to bettering the community here and that the next generations will continue, in the words of Pirkei Avot, to perfect our world here at Claremont. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Everyone has a purpose in life. It's a unique or special talent to give to others. And when we blend this unique talent with service to others, we experience the ecstasy and exaltation of our own spirit, which is the ultimate goal of all goals. I read this quote in an email signature a few weeks ago. This quote summed up my experiences and ultimate goal at the Claremont colleges: to live a personally and professionally meaningful life. At CGU and the Office of the Chaplains, I had the opportunity to work with students and staff who are committed to social justice and service in and to their communities. They are guided by the inherent belief that when others have a shot to be their best self, the world can be a better place. When asked why it was important for her to incorporate service into her classroom teachings, politics and international relations professor Nancy Neiman Auerbach described the Jewish belief of tikkun olam, translated to repair the world. Tikkun olam, how can each of us repair our own worlds? There are a few ways that we can do this, and I believe it's by incorporating our spiritual beliefs into the work into our work, our classes, and our relationships. I'm not asking each person to become an evangelist, but I'm asking each person to reflect on the most meaningful beliefs, those that have been anchors in times, those that have been anchors that steady in hard times and the breeze that pushes us through. Personalize that belief into your work. Personalize that belief into your work and make it applicable so that your work reflects those beliefs. The practices that have guided me in my personal and professional lives are grounded in those beliefs. These beliefs are built and established through love, through care, and trust. A creed that I repeat on a regular basis comes from 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8, a popular passage that I like to personalize. I say, Ariel's love is patient and kind. Ariel's love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in injustice, but rejoices with the truth. Ariel's love always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Ariel's love never fails. At the closing of each event, the chaplains and I like to provide a space for reflection. So as I end, I ask each of you to consider the beliefs and practices that have guided you to this current moment. What does it mean for you, and ultimately, how has it affected the work that you do or will do professionally as well as personally? Thank you.
I'd like to share a reading from the New Testament book of Philippians. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, through prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. In the stress and busyness of college, the words, do not be anxious about anything, are a little bit laughable. This seems like an impossible command, yet these are the words I've tried to remember throughout my undergraduate career. Through finals week, through the week of the big concert, when it seemed my professors colluded to make all of my assignments due on the same day. These are the words that kept me going. Trust me, I failed horribly at the whole do not be anxious thing. Just ask my mom, she's received many phone calls from a stressed Ben. But I think these verses hold wisdom for all of us, regardless of our creed or belief. Stress breeds more stress. The best way to deal with stress is to keep calm and carry on, to take things as they come and do your best to handle them. Maybe it will work out, maybe it won't. But either way, getting stressed won't help. My hope for all of us, family, friends, professors, staff, and especially myself and my fellow seniors as we face big changes and challenges ahead, is that as we leave this place, we can commit to the phrase, do not be anxious. Thank you.
During my time at the Claremont colleges, I've had the opportunity to build rich, textured communities that have facilitated a desire to pursue social and ecological justice through the mechanisms of food and community building. A number of community-based internships through academic courses allowed me to expand my breadth of knowledge about working with various communities to this end. All of the relationships I have formed and invaluable knowledge I've acquired, both in and out of the classroom, have led me to believe that there are, in fact, effective ways to make a positive impact on under-resourced and under-acknowledged communities, most specifically in my case, with previously incarcerated women. When asked to read today, I was told to speak about my inkling for social justice, and specifically about food justice. Rather than simply describing what I'm involved in or what I have accomplished, I thought I would describe why I am passionate about the field of social justice work. The following poem by Thich Nhat Hanh, in his book Being Peace, manages to portray just that. It is entitled Recommendation. Promise me this day, promise me now, while the sun is overhead, exactly at the zenith, promise me. Even as they strike you down with a mountain of hatred and violence, even as they step on you and crush you like a worm, even as they dismember you and disembowel you, remember, brother, remember, man is not our enemy. The only thing worthy of you is compassion, invincible, limitless, unconditional. Hatred will never let you face the beast in man. One day, when you face this beast alone, with your courage intact, your eyes kind, untroubled, even as no one sees them, out of your smile will bloom a flower. And those who love you will behold you. Across 10,000 worlds of birth and dying, alone again, I will go on with bent head, knowing that love has become eternal. On the long, rough road, the sun and the moon will continue to shine. Thank you.
I'm honored to be representing the Muslim Student Association today. I wanted to share with you a verse from the Quran in chapter 13, verse 11, which states, Inna Allaha la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. And what this means is that the condition of a people, of a community, of a nation does not change unless they change themselves. So they seek change from within. They look into their hearts and that they try to find change, and that's how larger change, the change in the community, is then addressed. When I went to my first MSA meeting my freshman year at the Claremont colleges, there were only 3 other students there at the meeting. 2 of them were also freshmen, and the other was a senior. And I remember afterwards, one of those freshmen, who's become like a brother to me, he said, "Sean, I don't think that this is gonna be a good use of our time." And honestly, I don't know whether I disagreed with him. But when I took my first leadership role with the MSA, what worried me the most was whether I was even fit to lead. I struggle on a daily basis to pray 5 times a day, something that's required of all Muslims. At the time, my knowledge of the Quran was very limited, and so I thought, if I have all of these flaws, how do I therefore take care of a community, especially a Muslim community? And over the past 4 years, I've learned how important it is to recognize our flaws and to spend every day trying to improve upon them. And I don't just mean this in a religious sense. By trying to change myself from within in order to better provide to my community, I've focused on how I can help others, which has been incredibly motivating because I'm doing something for more than just myself. I'm doing something for the people around me. And I don't know how, but it just made me more productive in everything I did, knowing that my actions benefited others rather than myself. And so today, we're sadly reminded of how fleeting and how unpredictable life can be. During times like this, I'm reminded of 2 verses in the Quran that state, فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Verily, with hard times comes ease. Verily, with hardship comes ease. And I hope that God can ease the hearts of Ali and his family at this time. There's only so much we can do for ourselves, but what we can do for the people around us is enormous. And it's not very hard. If you don't believe me, look into the eyes of your parents, and you'll see that just by being born, you've already changed their lives. Look at your friends and see how them and anyone you've crossed paths with have left an indelible mark in your life. I myself would like to thank the students, faculty, staff, and anyone else I've met over the past 4 years here, because you truly have changed my life. Congratulations to all the graduates, and may God bless Ali and his family. Thank you.
I am so honored and blessed to be standing on stage today with 2 of my best friends. 4 short years ago, I arrived at Scripps and began searching for my place here. Of course, with change and transitions, there are always challenges, and as much as I loved and was excited by my new home, I couldn't help but feel that something important was missing. It took me a while, but I eventually realized what was lacking was a space to express my Hindu and South Asian identity. During my sophomore year, Rabbi Daveen brought the 3 of us together to revive the Hindu Society, and this was the beginning of something that would enrich and color the rest of my time here. The Hindu Society began as a way to celebrate Diwali, the Hindu festival of lights, and Holi, the festival of spring. The first Diwali that we planned was definitely filled with a few hiccups along the way, from having 200 people crammed into the McAllister Center to running out of food midway through. There was definitely more than a few lessons learned. Lesson number 1, watch out for the samosa hoarders.
This past year for Diwali, over 500 people attended, and everybody went home satisfied and full. This may have been due to our upped security at the food tables, but regardless, everybody had a great time. At our last event this semester, Holi, we watched as the 5C community came together in a vibrant explosion of color and celebration, and it hit me that the impact of the Hindu Society was embodied before me. The 400 plus people came from a variety of backgrounds, interests, and intentions, and it struck me that we were beyond successful in our desires to build an accessible and visible community where our culture and traditions were valued and appreciated. These two festivals have grown from being just about the food or throwing colored powder at each other to a deeper appreciation of the greater significance and meaning behind the Hindu festivals that we celebrate, as evident by the growing student excitement and 7C engagement.
Now, 4 years later, my time has been so marked and influenced by being a part of the Hindu society and the friendships that have emerged that I can't imagine what community would feel like without it. The support I found through the Hindu society validated and empowered me in my cultural and spiritual identity. When I think about my most treasured and beloved memories here in Claremont, the most prominent are those that emerged from this space and this family. The two women standing next to me, along with Rabbi Daveen, Pastor Brad, Ariel Carpenter, and the many other figures of the Office of the Chaplains, have truly shaped my time here. Behind the events we planned are great friendships that I will cherish and never forget. Words cannot express the support and strength that we have received from Rabbi Daveen. She is much more than a club advisor. She is a mentor and a dear friend. The importance of the Office of the Chaplains in creating this community and helping it to be realized cannot be overemphasized. Without a doubt, the Hindu society and its far-reaching influence would not exist without the resources, encouragement, and genuine love of the Office of the Chaplains. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and please know that the impact you have had extends far beyond the three of us.
I'm pleased to be with you this afternoon as we begin the various celebrations across the Claremont campuses on this commencement weekend. Here we are together in this one special gathering of students, families, friends from all 7 of the fine institutions in the Claremont Colleges Consortium. In my role as president of Pomona College, it's a special privilege to introduce today's speaker, Halim Danadina, Pomona College class of 1994. Judge Danadina was appointed as a Superior Court judge by Governor Jerry Brown in the spring of 2012. His appointment recognizes his contributions and service as a Los Angeles County Deputy District Attorney for 14 years, during which time he prosecuted cases in the hardcore gang and major crimes divisions and served in the Special Operations Administration of the District Attorney's Office. But it is also noteworthy because Judge Danadina is the first Muslim American appointed to the California Superior Court. As an attorney, Judge Danadina served on the boards of the South Asian Bar Association and the Asian Pacific American Bar Association, and as a UCLA law student, he was a leader in the Asian Pacific Islander Law Students Association. As an undergraduate here at Pomona, he was instrumental in the founding of the first Muslim Student Association. He currently teaches adjunct courses at Whittier Law School and previously taught at Glendale University College of Law. Judge Danadina recognizes the potential social impact and meaning of his role as the first Muslim American on the Superior Court in California. In a statement to the India West newspaper, he noted, "I hope that my appointment serves as an example to others in the Muslim American community, particularly the youth, that our faith and identity need not be an obstacle to our full participation in California's civic institutions. Similarly, I hope to perform my new responsibilities in a way that demonstrates to society at large that Muslim Americans can serve the community in the pursuit of justice with dignity and honor." If you're wondering where Judge Danadina gets his passion and his social and civic commitments, perhaps his years in Claremont had an effect. Speaking at a recent Wilson Center panel on American Muslim local officials, challenges and opportunities, he said, "Like everyone who goes to Pomona College, I wanted to obtain a degree to change the world." Judge Danadina seems to be doing just that. Please join me in welcoming the Honorable Halim Danadina.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for that generous introduction. I'm so grateful and overwhelmed by the honor of speaking to you today. Just as an aside, thank you also for structuring this ceremony so that I would have to speak after all of these extremely eloquent speakers that we've already heard from. When I preside over a courtroom, I'm used to being the most authoritative voice in the room, and it looks like I'll be settling for top 10 or 15 today. Whenever I come back to the Claremont colleges, whether for my class reunion every 5 years, or as I recently did, to officiate a wedding that I was asked to do a few months ago here at Little Bridges, I always really feel at home. I don't need to tell all of you here what a special place this is. As many of you will soon find out, whenever you return back here to Claremont, to these colleges, part of you will be transported back in space and time. And you'll realize that you're always carrying your time here just a little bit in your heart. And in that way, you've never left. I've been asked to share a few words with you about what the future holds and to deliver a measure of inspiration befitting the occasion of commencement weekend. And as I stand here before you, this task does strike me as more than just a little bit ironic. In all honesty, knowing all that you all have already achieved to get to this point, and knowing, more importantly, what you have yet to achieve and what the Beatles have described as the road that stretches out ahead, I recognize that there is little that I can say that will inspire you as much as you have inspired me. Now, as a former courtroom prosecutor, I concede that one of the first rules of public speaking is to flatter the audience, but I really do mean this sincerely. Instead, I'm going to use my time here to offer some insights that I've gained from my experiences here in Claremont while attending Pomona College, and the past 19 years, still hard to say, past 19 years since I graduated. Now, I hope that I'm not being presumptuous when I say that I expect my comments will be relatable to you, because as I look across this hall, I see myself, at least a much younger version of myself, having previously sat where you all sit here today. I first arrived here in Claremont from Evanston, Illinois, where I grew up, in August of 1990 for first-year orientation. Though I had never visited the campus before enrolling, I knew that this is where I wanted to be, due in no small part to the Pomona College brochure featuring students in shorts and t-shirts, strolling amid palm trees in the foreground of a snow-capped Mount Baldy. You can imagine the appeal of this image for a Midwesterner like me. Though I was plenty familiar with snow, and I'd seen palm trees on vacation before, I'd never seen a mountain up close. To me, Baldy may as well have been Everest, and I was drawn to it. And you can imagine my surprise when on that sweltering day in late August, I looked around the campus and I could not find any sign of a mountain anywhere. All I saw was a mostly beige smear across the sky where Mount Baldy was supposed to be. Now, I would later find out that the ideal time for brochure picture taking is late January to February, when by no coincidence, photographers can be seen capturing every conceivable angle of the campus. Well played, Pomona College. I would eventually see the majestic Mount Baldy as the air cleared, and it would become an ever-present figure in my life at Pomona College. It provided an anchor for my college days, both in a literal and figurative sense. There is something about a mountain, especially for someone so accustomed to the flatness of the Midwest, which inspires awe and lends itself so well to analogy. Climbing a mountain often refers to achieving a goal. Mountains can also be obstacles that need to be traversed in search of your dreams or freedom from the Nazis, like the ones Maria sang of in The Sound of Music. Prosecutors used to love comparing their courtroom evidence to mountains, at least until the O.J. Simpson acquittal. In the late 1980s, the rock band Jane's Addiction used the mountain as a metaphor for heroin addiction in their song, whose title I've stolen for this speech. But it was my liberal arts education here in Claremont that introduced me to the particular mountain metaphor that has stuck with me the most through all of these years. It is from a parable discussed in my first year world religions class. Professor Jennifer Ricinga was my professor, one with which I'm sure many of you are familiar. It's that parable that is of particular relevance, I think, to this interfaith gathering, the one describing the different religions of the world as alternative mountain paths leading to the same apex, with all of us drawn, as if by divine predetermination, to God. Every step we take, as long as it's uphill, brings us closer to God. I have always liked this analogy in both the religious and secular sense, if for no other reason than it takes the pressure off. What a comfort it is to know that no matter what path you choose for yourself in life, you will always get to where you want to be it a successful career, happiness, fulfillment, God, or all of the above. This flexibility appealed to me as an entering student who had no definite idea of what I wanted to do with my life. I wonder if any of you can relate with that. Just by maybe applause. Clap your hands if you knew with certainty what you wanted to do in life when you started college and you still have that exact same plan today. Okay, there's a few people, good. Now clap your hands if you changed your major at least once in the past 4 years. I am more like this second group. In fact, during my 4 years at Pomona, I declared my major in philosophy, then biology, which, on the insistence of my parents, coincided with my brief stint as pre-med, I am Indian after all, government, politics, and finally international relations. Now you see, the problem wasn't that I was flaky, despite the evidence to the contrary. I knew what I wanted to do in a broader sense. As indicated before, I wanted to do the same thing that all students at the Claremont colleges want to do. I simply wanted to change the world. I just had a problem with the specifics. Now, ordinarily, I would fear how this comment would come across, but not to this audience. You know what I mean, having the same affliction all students drawn to this conglomerate of institutions of higher learning invariably have. We want to make a difference, a real difference in people's lives. It is not just what we believe, it is who we are. It is how I felt when I got to Pomona and when I left, and you could hardly blame me. After all, as President Oxtoby I'm sure knows, the gates on College Avenue that I marched and chirped through during my first year orientation and commencement ceremonies bear the words, "Let only the eager, thoughtful, and reverent enter here," on the way in. And on the way out, they are only loyal to this college who, departing, bear their added riches in trust for mankind. Now talk about pressure. Thank goodness for that mountain and all those equally valid paths. Academically, it freed me to focus my coursework on expanding my awareness of the human condition, taking classes as disparate as world religions, comparative revolutions, general chemistry, remember the pre-med part, Shakespeare, macroeconomics, Spanish composition and lexicology, and music performance and gender. All the while, I used my time on campus to discover a path that would bring me the most satisfaction, the path of service. In the dorms, I was a sponsor to incoming first-year students and later an RA. I spent my first spring break with fellow students on a trip to Tijuana to help build houses for Habitat for Humanity. I managed and even baked a little for the After Hours Cafe, donating 100% of its proceeds to the House of Ruth Shelter for Battered Women and Children. And as a senior, I helped to found the Muslim Students Association at the Claremont colleges with a lot of help from the chaplain's office, where we held educational programming to promote the greater understanding of Muslim culture and practice. I carried this spirit of service with me into law school, where I used my leadership position in the UCLA Pacific Islander Law Students Association to promote greater diversity on campus and to provide services to underserved segments of Southern California's community. As a member of the LA County District Attorney's Office and now as a judge, I've become acutely aware of the importance of treating all people, especially those accused of crime, and their victims, with the dignity and attention that they have come not to expect from their government. I've used my station in the legal profession to conduct gang intervention workshops for at-risk youth and legal training for domestic violence victim advocates. And I currently sit on the advisory board of the Muslim and Jewish High School Leadership Council, which mobilized a massive food drive in Los Angeles during Global Youth Day a few weeks ago. Now, my purpose here is not to provide you with a laundry list of accomplishments, but rather to share with you what these experiences have meant to me along the path that I have chosen. I've experienced firsthand that you get the most satisfaction in life from doing something for a person that will never be in a position to repay you. It has been said, and I truly believe, that to the world, you may be just somebody, but to somebody, you just may be the world. These experiences have led me to look at the mountain in a completely different way. Maybe the paths that we choose in life do not lead to a particular place or thing. Maybe God is not at the apex of the mountain. Maybe God is the mountain, and the paths that we take actually bring us closer to each other. Maybe the people we meet, the lives we improve along our chosen path, are what helps us to discover true happiness and consequently the truth about ourselves. As Mahatma Gandhi put it so eloquently, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. So I encourage you, as you confront the challenges and opportunities of the future, to not let making a living get in the way of making a life. That one's from John Wooden. Another public speaking rule: quote people who are smarter and more respectable than you are. Now, my story is not remarkable by any stretch. I possess no special ability, impulse, or character trait that you all don't already have. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. put it best when he said, "Everybody can be great because anybody can serve." You don't have to make your subject and your verb agree to serve. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics and physics to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love. So let me leave you with this. As someone who has been in your shoes, if you choose the path of service, it will be difficult, but you will be sustained by the grace in your heart and the love in your soul. And be assured by the knowledge that when that path gets steep, and it will get steep, at least you will know that you're headed uphill. Thank you and congratulations again.
And now for a benediction. May the God of bountiful gifts bless you and keep you.
May the Holy One be tender and lift you up and be gracious to you.
And may God grant you peace. Amen.